I want to shortly portray the current context of the debate. We've discussed it, but I want to give the perspective not only of the Israeli state, but also of the Israeli National Bioethics Committee, and then get to our speakers and the following discussion. In 2013, the Israeli government, as we all know by now, intended to introduce an amendment to the Prisoners' Ordinance, which will allow forced feeding of hunger strikers. A year ago, while Palestinian political prisoners were hunger striking in Israeli jails, the issue was brought to the Israeli Bioethics Council, which had to deliver its recommendations on the matter before the law was supposed to be changed. One of our speakers, sitting to my left, Professor Yael Bar-Ilan, appeared before the council, and he will open our panel today explaining his stance, which supports forced feeding under certain circumstances. This position, however, was a minority position in the Bioethics Council, which recommended against the amendment of the law on the following grounds. First, the existing law provides sufficient means to achieve the delicate balance between the sanctity of life and the individual's right to autonomy. Second, based on past experience, the best way to save the life of hunger strikers is via a contact between the striker and a physician from outside the prison system. Such a trust relationship achieves the goal of saving life better than forced feeding. This is evidenced by the fact, up to today, no hunger strike in Israeli prisons has ever ended in death. We would be happy to hear from Dr. Liav Goldstein and Advocate Abir Baker about their personal experience and views in that regard. The Ethics Council also stated that the context and timing of the request to discuss force feeding of prisoners was mostly political in nature, as we discussed before, and intended to deal with a specific political protest, and hence contradicts an open and free bioethical discussion about hunger strikes. Our last speaker will be Professor Yael, who will speak about hunger strikes from the perspective of oppression, human rights, and animal rights. With history having its peculiar track, the Gaza war broke down, and both the hunger strike and the amendment of the law were halted for the time being. However, extremely important questions remain to be discussed, such as the tension between the ethical and the political, the medicalization of political conflicts, and the role of physicians, especially ones working for the state in institutes where basic human rights are fundamentally restricted. Each of our speakers is now invited to talk shortly, let's say maximum 10 minutes, and then we will open for a discussion with the audience.